All right, people, you already know what it is. It's live, uncut, unedited. This is where we tell the truth and shame the devil. We're going to wait till a few more people come on. You know how we do it. We got a special guest today, Miss Brianna. She's going to explain to us about the no cash bond here in the state of Illinois. Many of you wondering, is this just a ploy? What is it? Is it just to get black people to stay locked up in jail or something? But no, she's going to explain it. Also, I have my partner with me, Vera Giles Norris. Y'all know what time it is. Hey, say hey, Vera. All right. I can't hear you, Vera. I don't know why, but okay. Delayed. Vera's a little delayed, but she's on here. That's my partner, live, uncut, unedited. And we on here. We're going to give a few more people to come in. Okay, we streaming live tonight from two of my Facebook pages and from YouTube. So we're on time. They say black people don't be on time, but we on time. We want to give a shout out to Mark Mitchell, Teamwork Inglewood, for sponsoring this. We want to give a shout out to you guys and appreciate you allowing me and Vera to bring this. And we thank you. We thank you. You know, so we got the phone lines going to be open today. It's on the screen. So if you want to call in and ask for questions, we'll only be taking questions after she make a statement and talk. And I know a lot of questions you guys want to know. I want to know some things too as well. So I see a couple of my people. How you guys doing, people? Facebook, YouTube, I see you guys and put you on there. What's up, Leonard? I need you to call in and ask some questions too. Gilder, all right. Darion Lee, I see you. I see you guys. I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. All right, we can get started. All right, Miss Brianna, talk to us. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what you're representing here. All right.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and spending your time with us this Wednesday evening. My name is Brianna Payton, and I am the Associate Director of Policy and Advocacy for the Chicago Appleseed Center for Fair Courts. And we are a proud member of the Illinois Network for Pretrial Justice, which is the statewide network that has organized and, rallied with community members from across the state to get this legislation passed and implemented. And we are really proud of it, and I'm excited to talk to you all about it. The statewide network has been organizing since January 2019. So for anybody who says that this was a last minute thing, absolutely not. This has been in the works for a long time. And the Cook County-based coalition, the Coalition to End Money Bond, has been doing this work against, wealth-based jailing since 2016. That's when the Coalition to End Money Bond was formed. And so what we're seeing now, is about 7 years in the making. We've had bond reform that's happened in Cook County at the local level, and that has been done successfully, although not completely. The Coalition to End Money Bond worked with civil rights attorneys all the way back in 2016 to file a lawsuit claiming that money bond was violating people's constitutional rights, because what money bond does is it treats you differently in the justice system, in the legal system. Sorry, I don't believe in the justice system. In the legal system, it treats you differently if you're poor, rather than if you are rich. And so they filed a lawsuit that was violating our right to equal protection. And so as a result of that, there was bond reform in Cook County in 2017. The chief judge said that judges should no longer be setting money bonds that people cannot afford to pay. And so that resulted in a significant reduction in the number of people that were jailed on a money bond. The number of people that were released doubled. The number of people in the jail on any given day dropped by about 2,000 people. And in a year, it dropped by about 10,000 people in a year. And that was done without any cause in a rise in crime. That was done without changing the rates of appearance in court or changing the rearrest rates. And so these rumors that you hear that bond reform is always going to be equivalent to, crime in the streets or rearrest, it's just simply not true. And so I just want to start with saying a little bit of what the problem was with the money bond system. So the problem with the money bond system is a few things. It allow judges to go through a shortcut and not to honor people's due process rights in courts. Because what happens is, in a court in the old system, the judge can either order somebody that they can be released and just come back to court, as long as they promise to come back to court, and as long as they promise not to, be charged with any new crimes or be alleged to do any new crimes. That's one thing. The judge can also deny somebody bond if they show, by finding of facts and on the legal record, the argument that this person is not safe to release or they are a high risk of fleeing prosecution. But the money bond system is like, the money bond option is a middle option that's very murky. It basically is them saying, well, you can get out, but only if you can pay this certain amount of money. And so now you have totally different outcomes for people. You might have the person that has the same exact charge, same exact criminal background, but whether or not they get out is based on whether they have access to a certain few $100s, a certain few $1,000s, certain tens of thousands of dollars, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And people think it's logical because it's like, oh, the less serious crime, the lower the bond amount, the more serious crime, the higher the bond amount. That would make sense if we all had the same amount of money. But what would happen is, under the old system, a judge might set a low bond amount and assume somebody could get out, and that's not always true. I spoke to a Black woman who sat in jail for months because of a $100 bond. And she talked about what that did to her self-esteem, to be in jail for months and think, am I not worth $100? Is my freedom not worth somebody being able to get $100 to get me out of here? And then you have people like Kyle Rittenhouse, the young white man who went to Kenosha, Wisconsin, with a gun, with a rifle, shot up the protests, killed 3 people, and then had a $1 million bond set, which they might assume, oh, nobody can pay that. But what happened? White supremacists banded together to raise that $1 million, and he was out. So this idea that this money system is reliable because if it's low, you can get out, and if it's high, you can't, it's not. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. The judges don't know when they set a money bond whether the person is in or out. That's not a system that we should be trusting in to keep us safe. They literally don't know. We have survivors of domestic violence who are concerned about whether somebody's getting in and out, and they don't know. It's all about whether they can get the money. And so what we have done is we have replaced a money-based system that disproportionately locks up Black people because we were the most likely to get an unaffordable money bond, but the least likely to be able to afford it because of the racial wealth gap. And we're taking money out of the system to make it more fair. It's not going to make the system completely fair because there's so much injustice in the system, but it should not be based on money. So we're trying to take away that form of unfairness. And the lies that they spread, saying that the jail doors were just going to fling open, everybody was going to be let out no matter what they were charged with, it's just that. Lies. And so there are a subset of serious charges where if there's a safety concern or a flight concern, then there is a hearing where the prosecution makes the arguments and the defense makes an argument to determine whether the person is released or not. And then there is another set of less serious charges where, as long as the person isn't already out on an existing case, then they are not eligible for pretrial jailing. The judge can impose conditions. They can be as lenient or as strict as they want, all the way as strict up to house arrest, where they can't really leave without any pre-approved permission, or as lenient as, checking with a pretrial services officer or just stay out of trouble and come back to your court dates. But they have a whole range of conditions that are available for anybody who they can. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by all the questions. So I'm gonna let you handle the questions. I'm gonna try not to read them.
Right. Don't read the questions. Me and Vera take care of that.
I can read at the same time.
Okay.
But yeah, so we have lower level charges that are ineligible for release, but it's not a revolving door like people assume, because if somebody's out on pretrial release and they pick up another case, well, now they're detention eligible and they're coming back into court, and there's a whole nother decision about whether they are going to be released or detained. And so there's just been right-wing misinformation. It's been politically motivated. Notice that all of those fake newspapers happened during an election year. These were right-wing political operatives. Some of Trump's largest donors, Dick Uihlein, Dan Proft, you can Google them. They have a political action committee, a PAC, that has spent over $30 million to malign this law because they wanted to buy the governor's race. They wanted to scare people in Illinois into thinking that this law was the worst thing that ever happened and that it was J.B. Pritzker's fault so that they could try to get them to elect a Republican governor. So our people are being deceived. This policy was made for us, and it was made with the people who have been affected by the system at the table, and not just the people who were affected on the side of being accused of crime, but people who are victims and advocate for victims, domestic violence advocates, people who advocate for people who are victims of sexual crimes. They even came to the table and worked with us to make sure that this law was prioritizing the rights of victims and people who are accused. And it's important to say people who are accused, because you have to understand that, I did see before I stopped looking at the questions that somebody said, why put yourself in a situation to need to bond out? If we have to remember that this system is liable to falsely accuse us. This system is liable for somebody to be beat up by the cops, but then they get charged with aggravated battery of a police officer. And so you have to remember when you're dealing with accused people that there are people that are falsely and wrongly accused. There are people that were racially profiled. And so people really have to be treated as innocent until proven guilty. And the only time that is something that can be compromised is if there is an active safety risk to another person or a high risk of fleeing. And that is what the law allows, is in those situations that pretrial jailing can be imposed. So if you think that this system is going to keep us less safe, I really want to know what makes you feel safe about a system that bases your pretrial release on money.
Okay. I'm going to let my partner talk. Partner, maybe you want to read some questions, or you have any questions, I'll let you talk. Go ahead. Can hear you, partner. Talk. We can't hear you, partner. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
There's no sound?
Now I hear you now. Go ahead. Little static. Yeah, I hear you now.
I don't know. Okay, here, let me go.
All right. Well, we can't hear you.
So I guess my question is that if that you can't hear me, okay.
It's a little staticky. Oh wow. Just hold on, partner. Hold on.
Let me go. Let me come.
Okay. Or if you want to, partner, you can call in. Okay. Let me put the call-in number up there. You can keep your face on screen up there. The call-in number, people. Call-in number.
Okay.
872-299-0808 or 872-297-6389. Now, if you you can call in, partner, and stay on the live if you want to. Listen, people, I need you guys to call in. The number is 872-297-6389. 872-299-0808. Ask the questions. Now, this is your time to ask questions. Now, we have her on here. I definitely have a couple of questions, but I want to engage my audience. I want to engage the audience. So that's what I want to do. But while we're waiting, Miss Brianna, what are some of the, I know you mentioned some of the rumors that they're going to let all the criminals out of jail. You hear stories like that, don't you? Yeah. And like you said, it's probably come from the right-wing people.
Oh, so. Definitely. Ain't no probably about it. We can trace the source of the fake newspapers and the fake news. We know exactly where it comes from.
Okay. Now, all right. Well, let me start with my question then. Give you a scenario. Just say I'm a carjacker. I got arrested for carjacking, and they allowed me to get a bond. All right, they bond me out. Allowed me to get a bond. I'm at home.
Under the old system or the new system?
Yeah. Then I be a repeat offender with the same crime. Is it a possibility that they'll probably keep me in there because I'm a repeat offender on that particular? I'm just asking you. Yeah.
Under the new system?
Yes.
Right. So under the new system, first of all, if you're accused of something like carjacking to begin with, you're already eligible to be jailed before trial, because the prosecution already, that's a serious charge where the prosecution already has the right to ask for somebody to be jailed before trial, and they have to look at the evidence and the facts of your case, and the judge makes the decision about whether they even go in the first time. But if they are released the first time, then and something else happens, then if you're charged with a new serious crime, then you are eligible to be sent back to jail for the rest of your case. That's how it works.
Well, that's how it works. Okay. Now, the purpose of this bill is to make the level playing even, right, for everybody, for the rich and the poor.
Right.
Right. Okay.
To make it even for everybody. There's no reason why you should have a different experience of the legal system based on money. It just doesn't make sense. And, they say that it's so that you can have skin in the game to come back to court, because they say you'll get the money back at the end of your case. But the truth is that the research shows that over the last 5 years, only like 20% of the money that people paid in bonds, they actually got back. There might be some people here in the comments who have paid a bond and never saw that money again. And so people already don't get the money back. So how are you motivated to come to court and people are not even getting their money back? Second, the research shows that money bonds don't actually improve court appearance rates. The court appearance rates are fine even without money bond. And so it's just a myth. All it does is it's used more so to keep people in jail than it is to bring people back to court. And it only can use that against poor people and mostly Black people. And that's why it is unfair and it had to go.
Okay. Let me see if my partner's partner. Let me say something. Now, partner, you might have to call in. Call in. You might have to call in because it didn't call. She's going to call in. And if you like, you could take some questions in the message if you want to address some of them real quick, since we're waiting on my partner.
Okay. It says, talk about those who have backgrounds, please. So just like in the old system, somebody's background can and most likely will be considered in the court hearings where they are determining whether or not that person will be released or not before trial. So that is something that doesn't really change. It was something that could be considered before by the judge, and it's something that can be considered now and most likely will be considered.
Okay. All right. My partner, she's, are you there yet, Vera? I think she's probably listening to the prompts, and I'm letting my partner take over from here. Partner?
Okay. Can y'all hear me okay?
Loud and clear, partner. I love you, partner. Go ahead. So go ahead, take over, partner. Go ahead.
But you know what? So listen at this, because this really got me intrigued. Because when I'm thinking no cash bond, I'm thinking, let's say, and you may have said this, but I may have missed it. But let's say it's a traffic ticket or something. You picked up because maybe you had a warrant or whatever the case may be. So you mean to tell me that I or whoever would have to stay locked up until they can see a judge or what have you in order to determine whether they're able to get out or not?
No, that's not what I'm telling you.
Is that what I'm understanding?
No.
Okay.
The Pretrial Fairness Act actually helps to make sure that people are not in jail for those super low level things. So it puts into place something called a cite and release requirement. So if somebody is accused of a petty offense, ordinance violation, low level misdemeanor, and there's no active safety threat to them or the people around them, police are required to give them their ticket or their court date and then let them go, as long as they can identify them.
Okay.
The only exception is if there's an active safety threat.
Now, I did hear you say that all of this is like politically, like in place, right? And then I'm not so into the political realm, but run that by one more time for I want to say maybe the African American community, or maybe the community that, like you mentioned, the young lady who was in jail for $100 and couldn't even get out. So can you run that by the Black community again on how this benefits them?
Yes, this benefits Black people because we were the ones that we were most likely to be given an unaffordable money bond and the least likely to be able to pay it. So they were using money bonds to keep us locked up. That's what was happening. And if we were able to get
Oh
together,
my God.
people's families are put in their house getting
Hold it, sir.
okay.
Yeah, hold it. Sir, I'll call on you. Just hold on, okay?
People were taking out second mortgages on their house, having to decide whether to put food on the table for children or pay rents. It was messing us up, and it should make us sick more than anybody else, because this is the country where we have a history of having to pay money for our freedom. Why is that something that's continuing in 2023, that Black people are having to go and give money to the system to buy our loved ones' freedom? Isn't that supposed to be in the past?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Let's go to this caller, because he's very impatient. Okay, caller, 5944. What is your question? Who you want to address your question to? What's your questions, sir?
Okay. The question is, how can, okay, say I'm charged and I'm innocent, but because of my background, I can't even bond out of jail. So now I'm sitting in jail fighting a charge that I'm innocent on, and I can't get out.
That's a good question. Good question.
How is that right?
That's a good question.
It ain't right. It never has been right. And this law is meant to make that make sure that happens less than it did before. We're not going to be able to.
The law is saying, but the law is saying, okay. Let me say this. Both situations are going off your background, right?
No, it's not only off of your background. It's supposed to be off the facts of your current case, but your background can be considered.
Okay. So the judge has the right now just to say that by himself or herself, you stay in jail. We no longer go on pretrial determination, right?
What do you mean by pretrial determination?
Okay. So if you catch a case, pretrial give their determination if the person.
You mean the pretrial services determination?
Or not? Yeah, pretrial services. Yeah.
They're still there, and they're still a part
of the determination.
Mm-hmm. They're still
they
there.
have eliminated pretrial determination and just put it in the judge's hand.
So yeah, the pretrial service officers, they do give their recommendation based on the risk assessment that they do before the pretrial hearing, and the judge makes the decision. That's pretty similar to how it was before.
Okay, so now if they're still similar, and they've taken out now they're taking out my constitutional right of the 8th Amendment that says I should have a bond, but it shouldn't be excessive. Now you guys are saying no bond.
So we're not saying no bonds. We're saying no money bonds. So the right that we have in the Constitution, and this is what was debated in the Supreme Court case, was, does bond mean money bond? And the Supreme Court found that bond does not mean money bond. And we already knew that. Bond means pretrial release. Bond means bail, and bond means pretrial release. You have the right to be released before trial because you're legally innocent, as long as you have they have sufficient assurance that you'll come back. And so one way that they were trying to do that was through money bonds, but they were using money bonds to lock people up rather than to get people to come back to court. So we took away money bonds because it was primarily being used to lock people up. And so now you still have the right to bond, but that right was always something that could be taken away if there was a determination that there was a significant safety threat to other people or a high risk of fleeing prosecution. But we have raised the standards that are required to justify or to give reasoning for putting somebody in jail before trial. It's easier to put somebody in jail before trial before than it is now.
Can y'all hear me?
More evidence now.
Yes, Vera.
So let me ask you one last question. So you're telling me, like you said earlier, I have to be locked up before I go to trial.
Oh.
Now that means I have to prove myself innocent. I'm guilty before innocent. So
I'm not saying that you have to be locked up before trial.
if I can't bond out of jail, how can I leak? How can I put this? Fight this. It's better to fight a case coming in from the street.
Yes.
Than coming in with brown on.
Yes, this law, people will still bond out, just not based on money. They will just be released if they're going to be released, and they're going to be denied release if they're going to be denied release. It's just not going to be based on money anymore. But people will still be able to be out before trial, and more people should be out before trial because not so many people will be locked up based on money. We're trying to eliminate the fact.
I'm just letting everybody know, Martin.
Yeah.
This is gonna, and I tell you, on today's date, more black people will be locked up more than white people with this new system. This was a double cross for black people. It should have been something saying, okay, if they have a low bond, if they have a low crime, then we don't bond them. Like they're trying to put people in people might catch a petty robbery from the store, so they had $1,000 bond, so they couldn't bond out because they was a height or club, so they just sitting in jail. So now a person with a background, because he got a forfeiture back when he was 19 or 20. Oh no, you can't get out of jail because you got bond forfeiture. It's a double cross, and black people will be locked up more now than ever.
We've already run the numbers, and as long as this law is implemented the way it's supposed to be, we are confident that there will be less black people and less poor people locked up on unaffordable money bonds now under this system than before, because if it's a lower level case, they're not even eligible to go to jail. So this law created something that didn't even exist before, which is a detention net, which means that there are some charges that if you're charged with it, because it's not serious, you can't even go to jail. And under the current system, under the previous system, you can go to jail for anything before trial. Under this system, if your charge isn't serious enough, they can't put you in jail. That doesn't exist anywhere in the country. That's going to help our people. And then if you're charged with something more serious, there requires more evidence for them to even justify putting you in jail. Whereas under the old system, they didn't even have to justify it. They could just set an unaffordable money bond. I understand the concern about people who maybe would have had a really high bond before and not have been able to bond. And now, if they're ordered to jail, then it's difficult to bond out. But there were so many people that were sitting in jail on those high bonds that they couldn't pay them, that we're still going to see, as long as this is implemented properly, which we're in the courts and we're court watching to make sure it's implemented properly, we're going to see the pretrial jailing in this state go down for people, as long as there is not a risk to other people. If I have two bond forfeitures in my background when I was 20 or 19 years old, and I catch a case, that bond forfeiture states that I do not come back to court. So now I have to sit in jail, like the young lady said about driving on suspended license, because of the two bond forfeitures that I got in my background. Let me tell you, we have something for the law. The law actually has addressed that issue. So the law makes sure that you are being evaluated based on the likelihood of fleeing prosecution or harming another person. Forfeiting a bond has nothing to do with either of those factors. Those are the only factors that the law allows the judge to consider when determining whether to order somebody to pretrial detention. So forfeiting your bond, that's not on that list.
Mm. Hold on, my brother. Hold on. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere, brother. Go ahead, partner. My partner wanted to say something. Go ahead, partner.
You know what? I was just kind of reading some of the comments because, Cynthia, for example, said, it's the people behind the desk with the pens that determine. And they ain't never been fair. So what's going to make a difference now?
So the difference is we're taking away some of their power. So under the old system, people are saying we're leaving our fate up to a judge. The fate was already up to the judge because the judge determined whether you got in, the judge determined whether you got out, the judge determined whether you got a bond, the judge determined how much that bond was. They had unlimited power under the old system. So let's remember that we're not comparing the new system to a perfect system. We're comparing it to what it was, and we're trying to make it better. So under the old system, the judges already had unlimited power and they were abusing it. Under the new system, we're taking away some of that power. Lower level charges, the judge cannot, if you don't already have an open case, the judge cannot even lock you up on that lower level charge. So that is a new thing that doesn't exist anywhere in the country. It's a huge win for our community. And then on the more serious cases, if a judge wants to argue for locking somebody up, they have to go through a higher level of a standard of evidence. Under the old system, those bond hearings were like 3 to 5, maybe 7 minutes, and they didn't have to provide the same level of justification. They just set a money bond. And because a money bond is technically a condition of release, they're saying, oh, you can get out, you just have to pay this money. Because it's technically a condition of release, they didn't even have to provide the same level of justification legally for making that decision. So they had unlimited power to lock us up with very little justification. Under the new system, there's a higher standard of the requirement of evidence. There is a more robust hearing. We're already hearing that the hearings are lasting 15, 20 minutes as opposed to the 3 to 5 minutes. And so the thing people keep saying about, people repeating things, I'm going to ask y'all to go back and watch the replay because we addressed this. If somebody is out on a case and they do something that is another charge, they are right back in court. And if it is a serious charge, then they are liable, but the judge will determine whether they are going to jail for the rest of that case. It's not a revolving door system that people are trying to make it out to be.
I got a question. I got another caller too. Hold on, sir. Don't hang up. Latoya Monet said, she's saying you will be released as long as your case isn't violent, a threat to the community, or you not a risk to flee.
Yes, and if somebody is charged with something that's deemed violent, the judge still has to give them an individualized determination, an individualized consideration of the facts of their case. We have to remember that what the system calls violent, you have to look at the facts of an individual case. Somebody can get beat up by the police and then get charged with aggravated battery of a police officer. I've seen it happen to people that were part of the Black Lives Matter movement. So we cannot believe every label this system puts on our people. Every time something is called violent, every time somebody is called a criminal, that doesn't mean they are. And that's why we have to have these hearings where more evidence is required to determine whether somebody is in or out before trial.
Okay. Hold it right there, Brian. Let's take this new. Okay, go ahead, bro. I want to just take this new caller. Matter of fact, let me take new caller. Hold on, my brother. I have area code 912. Come on, caller. What's your question or your concern?
Hey, what's going on, Martin?
Hey, how you doing, Sarge? How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. Yeah, my understanding of everything is if you are not a flight risk or a person that's going to harm someone else, like it's a domestic violence situation, then you're guaranteed a bond. It won't be like it was in the old days.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I'm like looking at the questions on the screen and I'm listening to you.
Oh, listen, Sarge, before you say, let me just put the number out there because they calling for the number. They call in number 872-299-0808 or 872-297-6389. Okay, go ahead, Sarge, again. Go ahead, Sarge.
Yes, you did have things going on. I don't want people to front like there wasn't stuff going on and you had to pay money to get out. And it was something that was like harmless to human life. I'll give you an example. 20 years ago, I had to pay $2,000 bond to get out the county. You want to know why?
Why?
You committed bootleg CDs. Bootleg mixtapes. That's what if you really want to know the truth. Bro, we're not gonna cut hairs on federal and local. Okay, we're not gonna do that one. The federal law is stated on every piece of musical instrument, $250 fine, up to 5 years imprisonment. I understand all of that, but it wasn't the feds that arrested me. It was the Cook County Sheriff Police. I got caught up in something at the Alpha Flea Market called Operation Flea Collar. They did a sweep. So that had nothing to do with anything federal. Okay, it was local, it was county, and I had to pay $2,000. And there was people that looking at me like I'm crazy. He was like, hey, what you in for? And I had bootleg CDs.
Well, come on with the question, sir.
Playing, right?
Come on with the question. Sorry.
And you know what, Martin, and I saw a question that just came across the screen when he finished. I want us to go there. The guy that's talking about the jail and the prison system. That seems to be interesting after Sarge finished.
Okay, partner.
Yeah, because see, with that, and I'm gonna land this plane right quick. It's ridiculous to have somebody pay $2,000 when they're selling music. You're not carjacking anybody. You're not physically harming anybody. It's not domestic violence. It's not even, I mean, come on now.
Sarge, we need
You're hurting somebody from selling them some music that they like?
Sarge, we need you land the plane now because you're going way
Okay,
to
I'm landing the plane.
Okay, thank you.
I should have gotten an I-bond for that. Especially since I didn't have a criminal background prior to that case. I should have got an I-bond. But I had to pay a $2,000 bond.
Okay, hold it right there, Sarge. Go ahead, partner. Go ahead.
You know what? I was getting ready to ask him.
No, partner. Just go what you want to do, the jail and prison.
Okay, yeah, okay. So here's the question.
Can I respond to the commenter before real quick? All I would say is under the new system, you probably would have just got an I-bond. That's the idea. That's the point.
That's the point, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Partner, go ahead.
That makes sense. Under the new system, he would have just gotten an I-bond. But now we have someone that's saying the jail and prison system is business and it's supposed to make money for its investors. And without bodies in the system, the investors are losing money. So the new system is going to put money back into the investor's pocket.
Ooh.
How do you respond to that?
I agree with everything. I'm sorry, is that question for me or for the person on?
No. All of my questions are directed directly to you.
Okay, so I agree with things up until the last line. The saying the new system is going to put money back into the investor's pocket. No, the new system is going to put money back in our communities' pockets. The money bonds were taken out of our communities. Mothers, fathers, sisters, girlfriends, taking food off the table for babies to pay bonds. That's where that money is going back to. And it's not gonna profit the people who invest in prisons and jails because it's going to take people, it's going to decrease. We're monitoring to make sure that it's implemented properly, but if it's implemented properly, it's going to decrease the number of people in the jail. I mean, you can check the numbers. It's like we're already seeing people who shouldn't have been jailed on a low-level bond or on a bond at all that they couldn't afford getting their rightful pretrial freedom.
Okay, then this is my last question. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, partner.
We'll come to you, 708. Go ahead, Vera. Go ahead, Vera.
Chris just said, so you can commit as many retail thefts as you like, as long as you are considered under the new law. So let me just read this. So you can commit as many retail thefts as you like, as long as you're considered under the new law.
No,
that's what Chris just asked.
No, that's not true. And I'm gonna suggest that we really try to all I'm gonna say is I have a hard stop at 8:15 and we're having the same conversation again and again. And so if there's any questions that are new, I think that'll be great, but I'll answer this again. If you have a case and you're released on pretrial release and you have another case, you are coming back to court and you're having a court date. And if you're charged with a class A misdemeanor or above, you're eligible to go back to jail for the rest of your case. If you're charged with something below a class A misdemeanor, you could still end up going to jail for 30 days. It's not a, people are saying get out of jail free card. There's no factual basis for that. There's no evidence that this is what that is.
And let me ask this question, Mark.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I get locked up for domestic violence. I did not touch her, but she's saying I hit her. We know there's plenty of people that's in jail because a female said they got hit and they didn't. So now I have to sit in jail because it's a violent offense that she said I hit her and I didn't. So now I have to sit in jail and not be able to pay a bond to get out of jail to fight the case. So I got to fight the case on the inside because it's a violent offense because she said it.
But it's not, people are not automatically being jailed for a violent offense. Every case, including violent cases, are getting an individual consideration under the law. And we've been watching domestic violence case. Some people get out, some people don't. It depends on the facts of the case. They will, under the new system, the defense attorney will have a better chance of actually presenting evidence and giving you a thorough hearing than under the old system. Under the old system, that case would have been heard in like 5 minutes. Under the new system, the hearings are longer, both sides are presenting evidence, and you have a right to call witnesses.
And now, on that note, you just said defense attorney. How can I get a defense attorney if I'm locked up? I have to deal with a public defender. I have to deal with a penitentiary deliverer. And how can I pay for this attorney if I'm locked up?
Well, whether or not you're going to be locked up is going to be dependent on the new system doesn't make it so that everybody's going to be locked up. It's you're going to have a hearing, and if you can't afford an attorney, you'll get a public defender, and they will plead your case. But you're not any more likely to be locked up on the case you're describing under the new system than under the old system.
Yeah, hold on. I got another caller. Hold it. I got another caller. I know it's frustrated, Brianna. You saying some thing, but I know it. Some people coming. It's like people coming in every 2 or 3 minutes.
I get it. Hey, just watch the replay, y'all. Just watch the replay.
Watch the replay. But we'll take this question. 7658, last 4 digits of your number. Go ahead, caller. What's your call? What's your concern?
How you doing, Martin? How you ladies doing?
Great.
Okay,
Great.
I don't know if I missed this or if anybody said anything about it. I'm gonna say this before I ask the question. Who's gonna pay for this law is gonna be the older guys. Why? Because a lot of older guys got backgrounds and they not like they may be expensive. Now, as the young lady said, of course the background is gonna be looked at. But I don't know if you understand that with a background, a misdemeanor will turn to a felony 3 or 4 real quick. And if you have violence in your background, like a gun case or a fight or even a domestic violence charge, that misdemeanor will go up the scale so quick. Now, I got to, like the young man just said, I got to sit in jail, can't get a lawyer because probably didn't lost my job, probably didn't lost my home, and anything else because I got to sit in jail to prove my innocence. So I'm asking the young lady, are you saying that no matter what our background is, if the case is minor, will the judge still look at the background if the case is minor?
So I understand what you're saying about all the harms that happen from sitting in jail before trial. And I want everybody watching this to understand that that is the reason we fought for this law, is because of the things that people go through when they're sitting in jail before trial and wanting to reduce that harm and reduce the number of people that are going through that unjustly, going through that because they're poor. I'm not taking this one.
No, let her finish. Let her finish, sir. Let her finish. Go ahead.
I just want you to understand that that's where we're coming from. But there are some things about this system that you all are questioning and criticizing that's the same as the old system. We changed some things. We couldn't change everything. The fact that people's criminal background is considered in a pretrial case is something we did not have the power to change. We can't make them say they are never going to consider the background. We don't have the power to do that. And so before in a case, your background could be considered in a case, and you may or may not be released, even though you had serious cases in your background. Under the new system, your background can be considered, and you may or may not be released, even though you have serious cases in your background. It's going to depend on the case. It's going to depend on the judge. It's going to depend on all of the factors that are individual to that case. So yes, people's backgrounds will be considered just like they were before, but the judge still has to meet a higher level of evidence to justify it.
I don't see the help. I don't see the help because, you know what I'm saying, this system is made to have a black boy arrested just to get a background.
I know, and I hate that for us.
So how is that helping us? Because if anything, only thing you saying is that a misdemeanor is the only thing that can get you out. Anything that's low budget.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Back in the days, all you got to do is sit in jail for 3, 4 to 8 hours, and then you get an ad bond.
We specifically made
So
sure.
how is this helping us let me finish, Mama. How is this helping us as black men? Because we are the ones who are going to suffer from it.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to say this in the Queen's defense. She's just delaying the information. So I know that we may have some emotions, but let's just kind of, not necessarily gear them at her. Like she's just delaying the information, relaying the information.
But the whole thing is that the information relaying is scary.
I understand that.
And I'm a grown man about mine. It's scary because what it is telling us, because we know y'all got a background, we can uplift y'all case and not let y'all go.
We're making.
And now because you want a simple traffic violation, now you got to sit in jail until you go to court. That may be months down the line.
And not just that. I can't pay for a lawyer because I'm in jail. So now you're saying, let's take more money off the kid's plate and put it on the woman that's at home that's trying to pay for a lawyer. Y'all, you just said, sister, that we taking money out of our kids, off the kids' plate. But now if you look at it, if I can't be there to support my family and pay for my lawyer, that means the woman is going to do it. She got to send me money for commissary. She got to send me money for the phone and pay for the lawyer and take care of my kids. Wow. It's a double cross.
So this law is not making people more likely. We're going to reduce the number of people that are sitting in jail before trial. I'm honestly not sure how many ways to express that. This is not about locking up. There are
cases that
Okay.
we don't want locked
Well,
up.
hold on. Let me just say something real quick. We probably got another 10 minutes. You're going to be off at 8:15. Let me just say this. In your studies, Miss Brianna, I believe I heard Kim Fox say that it was another state that have a no cash bond. Can you address that too as well, how that is working out?
Yes, in New Jersey, they've all but eliminated money bonds. They only use them in a extremely small minority of cases. They've reduced their jail populations by around 30 to 40%, and they have had no increase in crime. But people don't. We're taught to believe that locking people up makes us safer, but locking people up has statistically been shown to increase the likelihood that there's more crime because you cause people's lives to have a downward spiral. You put them in jail, people lose their jobs, they might lose their homes, they might lose their kids, they might lose connections to their loved ones, and you spit people back out. And so now their life is more destabilized. It's harder to get a job. So while the system is telling us that incarceration is automatically keeping us safer, and I understand that some people feel like certain people need to be locked up, on the whole, the system is not addressing the root causes of problems, and it's putting people in a worse condition than what they came in. And so
I just want to ask this question. So just to be clear, is Illinois the first state to actually do this, or
No.
are we not?
Yes, we are, because we're the first
Really?
state to eliminate it completely.
Oh, okay.
So in New Jersey, they mostly eliminated, but they still use it in some very rare cases. In Illinois, it's just not going to be on the table. Money is not going to be on the table.
Okay. Let me say this. We have two new callers. Okay. Let me get to them. 6665. You guys can hold on. 6665. Go ahead, caller. What's your concerns? Caller.
Hey, man, it's T.
Hey, T,
Hello?
how you doing? Activist. It's an activist, y'all. Chicago legend. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
all right.
Good.
The whole month of November 2022, as well as September 2022, I'll post nonstop as much information as I could gather about the Safety Act. And mine, I remember it was just me and you over at Father Flaker Church about the Safety Act forum.
Mm-hmm.
And that forum was very controlled.
Mm.
The people put their names on cards. They didn't even answer half of the questions. I went to aldermen. I went to people that work for Cook County Jail, people who work for IDPH, all my contacts, because I've been in social service 34 years. Nobody could give me a clear understanding of the Safety Act. At that point, I contact the people, and they wanted me to go out and canvass. And what I was trying to explain to them, I can't canvass about something I don't have a clear understanding about. So I continued more to do research. Then I found out that Trinity United Church on 95th had a bus, and they was going to take people to Springfield free, because this was the day that they were supposed to vote on the Safety Act, the politicians. I made up an event page. I had it on my page nonstop the whole month of November and September of 2022. You know how many people got on that bus? One, Ronald Jackson, one of our comrades.
We at 807.
Just like it wasn't a lot of people in the forum about the Safety Act. Wasn't hardly nobody on that bus. And again, the biggest problem in the African American community, we want to try to fix stuff on the end. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying a lot of African American people.
Okay.
We don't head stuff off.
Okay.
After it's been passed, then we want to try to do something about it. It's basically too late.
Okay.
And what was really disheartening to me was that, first of all, the community wasn't coming out. And I couldn't get a clear understanding from anybody.
Right. T, hold it right there. Listen, we got like 5 more minutes. I want to take 2 more questions real quick.
And if I can just respond to that really quickly.
Yeah,
if
go ahead. Go ahead.
wants to ask for a
Go ahead.
teach-in about this, I honestly feel like with this many people, it's just hard to get to everybody's questions and concerns. But if you belong to a community group or you have a church, you have a group of people that wants to bring us in for a teach-in. We have been doing outreach for years in the community ever since this coalition started in 2016. Anywhere we could go to educate people about the system, talk about the work we're doing. We've been doing outreach to the community, but there's only so many of us. But if you want to reach out to bring us in for a teach, you can email us at info@endmoneybond.org. Please do not spam us. Please don't send email cussing us out. If you have a question,
say that one more time, please.
info@endmoneybond.org.
Can somebody put that in the chats, please?
Yeah. So
Info at
if you want to teach in a
money.
community group or something, we will come out. I will come out, or somebody from our coalition will come out. We are serious about engaging with the community about this issue.
Okay. Mark Mitchell said that's not what she's saying. there are two reasons to keep someone detained: flight risk and the risk of harming someone else. All right, let's take these two more questions and we're going
And
to
it's
end
not
it.
only based on charge. I think I hear people saying they seem to think that automatically you're going to jail if you're charged with a serious charge. No, you're only eligible to go to jail, but you still are entitled to a hearing. And it's going to be a more rigorous, a more robust hearing with higher standards of evidence than what was under the old system. So it sounds like people think you're automatically going away based on if you have a certain charge, but you're not more likely under this new system to automatically go away. You are more entitled to a fair hearing. Now, we know that the system is often not fair. We can't control the fact that some judges are racist and want to lock people up regardless, but we're taking away some of that power on the low level side. And on the high level charges, we're requiring them to have more evidence before they can say they just want to lock somebody up. They can't just throw out a number that they think you can't pay because they think you're too poor, and now you're in jail with no justification.
All right, partner, I'm gonna let you talk. 219, Eric, come on, make it quick. 219, Eric code 219.
Hey, man, this is Mark.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, Mark? Go ahead.
Good. You know what? I want to say y'all doing a great job, Brianna. I really appreciate your patience.
Thank you.
All right, but here's the thing. Currently, under the system, when individuals go to jail, who do you think are bonding them out?
Their
They
family
mama
members.
or their girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right now, they got to figure out how to sell their house, sell their cars, use their credit cards to get them individuals out. Under this current system, that's not the issue anymore. They don't have to get them a lawyer. A person can get out, get on electronic monitoring, get him a job, get him a lawyer, and beat his own case. But at the end of the day, if he's found guilty, bond ain't got nothing to do with it. He's still going to prison or probation or whatever. So I think this thing, what it really does is shed light on the fact that the county jail about 30 years ago was 2 buildings. Now it's 11 buildings. And it's full of black and brown people. People that can't make a $500 bond, $300 bond, $500 bond, $800 bond. And these bonds are just coming off the top of the judge's head. There's no system they use. I'm gonna give him 100,000. I'm gonna give him 200,000. All that changes. I think we should have faith in the system and see how it works. But currently we have nothing going but people bonding their kids out of their man. Thank y'all for that time, Mark.
Thank you so much. We're
Thank
gonna take
you,
the
Mark.
last
Right.
call.
Hey,
and
Mark.
let it be. Okay, my partner, did you say something?
No, I was
excuse
just
me.
saying, hey, but go
It
ahead.
says scam likely, so I don't know if to take this call or what. Two.
No, it's not a scam.
Okay, that's what it said. Okay, come on, caller. Come on, caller. Come on, caller.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah, I'm calling from California.
Okay.
And
Hello.
I'm calling from California with the Nation of Islam.
We got two
Okay, I
people.
got two people.
Calling you,
Is it,
Mark.
okay, is it two
Yes,
people on the same line?
No, I'm on a different line.
Okay, okay.
No, I'm on a different line.
Okay, Nation of Islam, let's let the lady go first, please. We got 2 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, and what I'm going to say is very, very quick. I just want to say I agree partially with this law, and I just think, with any law that comes, it has its pros and cons, okay? And I really appreciate you for taking your time out to explain to us who do have concerns as far as, what we think a no cash bail bond means. So in my eyes, what I just want to tell you is that, not only did I watch this law being put into effect on the news, but they also said that, I just want to put everybody at ease. This is not the final law. Like, this is going to be revised as different cases come into play. So it's always going to be a revival, to what's going on as far as specific cases. Everybody don't have the same case. So, I just think that we got the people, we gotta try something new if our old system doesn't work for us. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, trying to explain to our community who are in a panic right now because we thinking that, no cash bail means, even if we do the smallest crime, we won't be able to get out. And I really don't think that's the case. And I've heard you say several times that is not the case. So I appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're so trapped in fear about what a new system would look like, that we don't even see all the ways the old system was already failing us and how this new system is better. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm not, but I can say without a shadow of doubt and stand 10 toes down that it is better overall.
Okay. Last caller. Come on, my Nation Islam brother.
Hi, it's the brother Muhammad Green. I've been talking with brother Tyrone Muhammad down here, and we're going to have a rally at the City Hall to fight against it. The no bail law is the Jim Crow law. Brothers and sisters better wake up and pay attention. When it gets serious and serious. That's all I wanted to say, Brother Martin. Hopefully I'll see you on Monday at City Hall to join the protest.
Okay. Hold on. Let me ask you a question before you leave. I don't listen. On what basis did you saying that this new law? Oh, he hung up because I definitely want to.
I can respond to that.
Go ahead, my sister.
But Jim Crow laws are about segregation and treating one group of people different than the other. Under the old system, poor people who are more likely to be Black were having a completely different experience in the legal system than people who had money. That is segregation. That is unequal treatment under the law. The new system, everybody is treated the same no matter how much money they have. I know some people are saying, well, what if you had the money to bond out? Well, that's good for you, but that's not a fair system because some people don't have the money to bond out. So it's not fair for it to be based on money. That is actually more like Jim Crow before than it is now. And there will be less Black people locked up in jails just because they're poor under this system than under the old system. And I stand by that. And I know that every case won't be perfect, but that's because every case will never be perfect under this system. Every case will never be perfect under the criminal legal system in the United States. It is a system created to oppress. So I'm not going to act like it's going to be perfect, but I'm telling you, and I truly stand on it, that this new system is going to be more fair than it was before. And that we are believing that if it's implemented properly, and we're watching to make sure that it will be, that it will result in less unjust pretrial incarceration than before. There's more things that need to be changed with the system, and we can work on that. But we took a big step forward, and we're really proud of it. And I thank y'all for hearing me out tonight.
Thank you.
And do you mind repeating your email again and repeating it slowly, so just in case those people that maybe want to bring you to their church.
Yes, if you want to bring us in for a teaching, you can reach us at info@endmoneybond.org. And if you want to learn more about the Pretrial Fairness Act, you can go to pretrialfairness.org, or you can go to endmoneybond.org, or you can go to any of our social media pages at End Money Bond. We're End Money Bond on Twitter, End Money Bond on Facebook, End Money Bond on Instagram. And we have posted so much research and so much evidence to show that this is a good policy and that it works, and explaining why we did it. So if you want to learn more, that's where you can do it.
Okay. That's going to hit it. Thank you. That's it, partner. That's it. Okay. All right. Again, we want to thank Mr. Mark Mitchell. We want to thank Teamwork Inglewood for sponsoring this segment. We want to thank Brianna Payton, right? And we want to thank you so much for taking your time. I know you had a tight schedule today. We went over just a tap a little bit, but I appreciate you. If you ever need me, you know how to reach out to me. If you ever want to do this again or something, it's okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. You already know what it is. You already know what it is. It's what? Live. Uncut, unedited. And this is where we tell the truth and shame the devil. Now, this is my personal testimony. I love being Black. Good night. Good night.